Hi parents, my name is Miss Brittany and I teach in early childhood at the Garfield School. I've already shown you 2 videos how to set up and teach the decimal system using the nines layout and golden bead materials at home. I've also shown you a video about how to do static addition. So today, this video is going to teach you how to do dynamic addition at home with your child. And so before we introduce dynamic addition, which is when numbers have to carry over into the next family, we play a little game and we call it the exchange game, or sometimes the bank game. So all of our materials that are set up over here, in the classroom we call this the bank. We're gonna go to the bank and tell the child, today we're going to play the exchange game. And I'm just going to get a bunch of materials and just dump them onto the tray. I'm not gonna count them out. It's just gonna be very messy. And I'm going to say to the child, look at this messy tray. Wow, I wonder if I could look at this and figure out what number this quantity is. Do you think you could guess? Look how messy this is. And sometimes we'll take a guess and write it down, and then I'll say to the child, how do you think we could clean up this mess to figure out what the number is? I think a good idea would be to start by separating them into the right families. So then we'll use our mat, and we will take all of our units and put them in the unit family here. Okay, now that we've separated all of our golden bead materials into their right families, we have another problem, and that is that we're not allowed to have more than 9 in a family. And the child has had a lot of practice with this, so this concept should not be new to them at this point. It should be really familiar. So all of these, we're gonna count and see if this is more than 9. When we get to 10, we're gonna stop because 10 is too many for this family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Uh-oh, that's too many. So what we need to do is use our brains and think, what other bead do we have that is equal to 10? And the child will say, it's a 10 bar. So we need to go back to the bank and make an exchange. And this is really fun. Usually we have more than one child play at a time. And so one child gets to be the banker and the other child gets to hold the beads and come over and say, hello, Mr. Banker, I need to make an exchange today. And then the banker will say, okay, I'll make an exchange, but I need you to count the beads into my hand so I know that it's an equal exchange. And so they'll count into each other's hands. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 unit beads. And I need to make an exchange for 1 10 bar. So then the banker will hand the child 1 10 bar and say, pleasure doing business with you. So then that child will come back and place the 10 bar in the tens family and look back at our units and let's say, do you think now we have less than 9? We're gonna have to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh no, we have to go make another exchange. And now, let's count and see if we have less than 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is 4 smaller than 9? Yes, it is. So we are allowed to have this many in our units column. Let's come over here and find 4. Here it is. And now we have to go over to our tens family. Oh no, this looks like a big mess. We're gonna have to clean this mess too. So we're gonna count, and when we get to 10, what are we gonna do? Stop and make an exchange. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 100. So 10 10 bars are equal to 100 squared. So we'll come to the bank, make an exchange, add that to our hundreds and keep going. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. 9 10 bars. That is the maximum amount of 10 bars that we're allowed to have in this family. So they can stay and we can find our 90. Okay, let's go to our hundreds family and see how we can clean this up. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. That's less than 9. There's only 800 squares. So that's allowed to stay. We don't have to do any exchanges in that family. And let's look at our thousands. We only have 3,000 cubes, and that's also less than 9. So that gigantic mess that was on our tray that we weren't able to tell what that number was, now that we've cleaned it up and done some exchanging, we know what the number was. So if we cover up our zeros, we'll be able to figure it out. We had 3,894. Wow. And then we'll compare that to the guesses that we made. This is a really fun game for children because there's a lot of movement and it's very social because they like to take turns being the banker and being the person who's cleaning up the mess. So once your child is really good with making exchanges, then you can introduce them to dynamic addition. So just like we did for static addition, we're gonna add right to our nines layout mat an equal bar, that's just a piece of string, and a plus sign. So that we turn our nines layout mat into a giant equation. And this time the equation that I wrote is going to need some exchanging. So I'm gonna have, just like we did with static addition, I'm gonna have the child look at this piece of paper, come to the bank and create this top add end using golden bead material. 1,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 500, 30, and 5. And now we're gonna go back to the bank and get our second add end. Just like we did with static addition, we're going to line the second add end up. We're gonna stack our cubes, whoopsie, like this, and 2, and we have 8 10 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 7 unit beads. So we keep our quantities separate like this. And now it's time to do the fun part of adding them together. So we're going to get our answer for our units column by squishing all of our unit beads together and bringing them down below the line. And remember, we're only allowed to have 9 in each family. So if we get to 10, what do we have to do? Just like in the exchange game, we have to go back to the bank and make an exchange. So for our unit bead answer, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Uh-oh, we got to 10. This is not allowed. So I'm going to pick up my 10 unit beads, come over to the bank, and make an exchange for 1 10 bar. Now my answer in my units column is 2. So I'm gonna find my 2 card and move on to my 10s family. Squish them together, bring them below the answer line, and let's count. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 100, that means I have 10 10 bars in my hand and I have to make an exchange for 100 squared. And I'll add that to my 100 column. And look, my answer for my 10s column is also 2 10 bars, which means 20. And now I will move on to my hundreds family, squish them together, bring them below the answer line, and 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. That is less than 900 squares, so we're allowed to keep that. And we need to find 800. And now for our thousands. This is a pretty big tower of 1,000 cubes. So I'm gonna very carefully bring them below the line and count. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. That's less than 9,000 cubes. So that answer is allowed to stay without making an exchange. And now that I have all of my numeral cards, I get to cover up my zeros to find my answer. And I'm going to write it. I'm going to write 5,822. And again, I will encourage the child to read the whole problem back to me. This was a really tricky math problem. So 1,535 plus 4,287 equals 5,822. We had to do a lot of exchanging to find that answer. After the child is really proficient in dynamic addition, we can move on to multiplication. So I'll do another video on multiplication with golden bead material another time. Have fun!